Yeah, let's go ahead and show this. Ali Dawa, man, Christian apologist. Oh, it's muted, Thaddeus.
Oh, my bad. I probably forgot to check the little box because you got to do it every time.
Remember, when Thaddeus is here, it's amateur hour.
Yep, rookie.
Yep, for sure.
Rookie. And he lost his movie
So
voice.
when I'm on my own stream,
rookie sensation, Thaddeus.
Abdi said, "Why are we entertaining this clown, man?"
Yep.
Yo,
So
Abdi
I
needs
have
to
the
quiet
clip right
down,
now.
bro.
He's a Muslim.
That's what I'm saying, but he needs to be quiet though.
Ooh.
I have it ready.
All right. Oh, my bad. That's me.
But a lot of people were very insecure because of the scientific, discoveries or whatever it may be, and we was trying to fit the scientific narrative into the Quran, which was a big mistake because it's as good as we were making science the guideline for the Quran to be accepted. This is nonsense. Yeah, we take the Quran, not science. To hell with science. Science changes tomorrow, today. They talk about the Big Bang. Now there's new studies or whatever, new findings that there was no Big Bang. So my point is what? You cannot come and say this verse here is a scientific miracle, is a scientific fact. Why? Not because the Quran is wrong, because science changes, number one. Number two, who told you that verse in the Quran is talking about what you're ascribing to it? Simple as that. So that's why I repeat it one more time for my fans, those Islamophobes. The scientific arguments, scientific miracles in the Quran is debunked. And guess what? It doesn't bother us to the least.
It doesn't bother us to the least.
And again, this is I mean, he had already said it in one video, and he said that he came one of the reasons he came to Islam was because of the scientific miracles, and then he realized in his words it was absolute nonsense, but he said he stayed on, continued to be a Muslim for other reasons. He said it in that video that the argument has been debunked, and then he got a bunch of requests from Muslims. Could you clarify what you mean? Because the Islamophobes think that you're saying the argument has been debunked, mainly because that's exactly what he said. So they asked him to clarify it, and then he posted another video where he said over and over again that the argument has been debunked. And again, this goes back. I mean, it was 10 years ago when Hamza Tzortzis published his paper explaining why Muslims need to stop using that argument and why it's been debunked and why they don't have anything in the Quran that actually meets those criteria to qualify as a scientific miracle. Ali Dawa just basically, and he's saying that da'is across the board understand this. That's why they don't use the scientific miracles anymore. But he's basically the one who's now popularizing what Hamza said, and good on him for having the integrity to do that.
Yep, good stuff. All right, so Saleh, there you go. And Abdi, what do you guys think?
I would say, Abdi, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first, my son? All right, I guess I'll go first. So, watching that clip, two things are in mind. Number one, like if homosexuality is a good example, right? So why do we believe homosexuality is wrong? We could go into a bunch of secular arguments. You could say, oh, this diseases or this. But in reality, the number one thing is God said it. That's the number one thing. That's point blank period. That's the first thing you go to. You don't go through all these secular arguments. And I think that's what Ali Dawa was trying to say here. He's saying that not necessarily that all the arguments are wrong, but that God said it is enough. Like, you don't need to go in all these secular arguments of this is the embryo and this is that and that proves the Quran, when in reality it's faith first. I think that's what his point is. So,
well, that's part of his point.
That's kind of off topic, though. But
yeah. I mean, it's a small part of his point that we believe the Quran above science, but he's also saying that you're misreading the Quran when you import science into it.
Yeah, and to be fair to anyone who still thinks there are interesting scientific things or something in the Quran, Ali Dawa does find it. He says there are things that you could be amazed at, like the Quran saying that there's, things get darker the deeper you go in the ocean or something like that. So he says that there are amazing things like that. But he's saying, as far as an argument, the argument doesn't doesn't work. And again, he kind of spells it out a little bit, saying, science can change. So why are you going to appeal to science when, 100 years from now, the scientific theory might be different? And two, unless you have Muhammad or someone else explaining what this Quran verse means, how are you saying things like the heavens refers to layers of the Earth's atmosphere or something like that? Where are you getting it from? It looks like you're putting it in there. So he is saying that he's saying two things. He's saying, one, yes, you can be amazed when the scientific, when the Quran gets something, says something interesting, but you can't use it as an argument because the arguments just aren't going to work. And so,
wait, but hold on. Let me see if you're consistent on that. So the Book of Revelation, right? A lot of Baptists make claims about like Israel is this is the temple where this will happen. This person is the Antichrist, supposed Antichrist. They make a lot of claims about what Revelation is saying and what is, right? Like prophecy, etc., right? So are you saying that all of that is in the same sense that it's just speculation in the way that the scientific miracles are just speculation?
You would have to actually make a good solid case. And until you, if I'm talking to a Christian, until the Christian makes a case for why this clearly means something, I'm not going to agree with the argument. In other words, same principle, Bible or Quran. Show me that you are understanding that verse correctly and that this is the fulfillment of it, or I'm not going to believe the argument.
All right, that's fair.
This is a little too smooth, too easy. Where's the hate? Where's the
see? Avery always wants the drama, and when people just come along and have a calm conversation, he starts getting a little. We need to.
Spice.
He wants pit bulls fighting in here.
We need clashes, man. We need clashes. All right. So listen, I got a question. So, somebody asks, how many scientifically false statements does the Quran need to make for you guys as Muslims to reject Islam?
Well, like Ali Dawa said, science is constantly changing, so it's not necessarily one thing that could be true and then it's not true. But if you could prove without a shadow of a doubt a scientific fact, then I think just one, right? I mean, one.
So if we can prove without a shadow of a doubt that one of the statements that the Quran makes it is actually false, then that would be enough for you to leave Islam?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a fair.
I would ask the same.
You would ask the same thing. All we need is one false thing from the Quran, and you guys would leave Islam. So one is the answer.
That's
one
not true.
false thing.
That's just not true.
Okay, so Abdi has a different take.
But this guy's a clown. This guy right here, he's a clown. He's not a Muslim.
Wait, ask you a question.
Bro, you're not a Muslim. Shut up. What do you know about Islam? Wait, let me teach you Islam. Let me teach you Islam.
Everyone's takfiring every.
Listen, I'm Sheikh Uthman. You're the student. I'm Uthman. You're the student. Sit down.
David Wood has a history of being a deceptive liar. Look, Ali Dawa is not saying that the scientific miracles have been debunked. He's just saying that we should use it as a primary source of evidence. Okay.
You're repeating my argument. You're just repeating everything.
Wait. I'm just confused. How is it that David Wood is the one deceptive? We just
he has made so many videos
played the
over the
man's
past
clip
few years
that said it's been debunked.
Yeah. So notice the people who say I'm being deceptive are the people who just watched a clip, and I mean person, are the ones who just watched a clip of Ali Dawa, who said it multiple times, to be clear. And he said it over a course of 2 videos, and he said it a bunch of times in his second videos, debunked. And we say, hey, Ali Dawa says the argument's been debunked. They say, liar, he's not saying that. And what's amazing is Ali Dawa is saying that based on Hamza Tsortsis laying out his case in an essay form and in video form, explaining why there's nothing in the Quran that would qualify as a scientific miracle, because one, you'd have to show the science is settled. That's exactly what he said.
No,
guys,
that's just not true.
And he didn't say debunked, right? He didn't say debunked, right?
Misinterpretation.
No,
So
no, when he
Abdi,
says
Abdi,
debunked,
let me help you
when
out
he
here,
says
Abdi.
debunked,
Are you
when he
trying to
says
say?
debunked, he knows that you Christians are going to clip that and be like, "Oh, guys, look, I that
So
was
he's
debunked."
so
No,
Ali
that's not
Dawa is
what it is.
intentionally
Bro,
helping
that's what he
Christians.
said. That's literally what he said. He said it was debunked, bro.
No,
You're
he
playing
did not.
5D.
He
You're trying to play
doesn't mean
5D
it's
chess, bro.
actually
You think Ali
debunked.
Dawa's playing 5D chess right now?
No,
Bro.
he
Stop.
doesn't mean it's actually debunked. He knew that you
So
Christians would
Abdi,
clip
He
that.
said like
He
8
Abdi, can I help
knew
you
that
He
out
you
said
here?
it
would
like
clip that.
20
Can I
times
help
in the
you out,
video,
Abdi?
bro.
No, he said it's debunked, but he said not in total right after. You guys are forgetting that.
I know you guys are clipping out the most
I
important
I said,
parts of that video.
I literally just said what he actually means by not totally debunked, because he said absolute nonsense as well in his original clip. When he says not in total, he gives an example. He says there are things that we can be amazed at in the Quran, like, oh my goodness, darkness in the ocean. Like, how could someone have known that? So even if we grant that, he's still saying to use that as an argument. And if you go back to Hamza Tzortzis, in order to use that as an argument, you'd have to show that the science is settled. I don't think anyone's going to question the science on whether it actually gets darker as the deeper you go into the ocean. But two, you'd have to say, is that what the Quran is claiming there? Because you can look at different translations and some of them sound like it's just talking about darkness in a dark storm or something like that. Like you can't see in front of you in a dark storm on the water. But even if you grant that, then three would be, can you claim that no one knew that before? And that there's no way to know that? So he's saying it's something you can look at as a Muslim and say, wow, it's amazing that, the Quran says this. Can you use this as an argument for miraculous scientific knowledge? No, because you'd have to actually show, in this case, you'd have to show that couldn't be known. And anyone who's ever jumped in the water and swam down 10 feet would know that. So he's saying, you can be amazed.
No.
If
You're forgetting
my goodness,
the Quran.
guys, if you're saying that Ali Dawa did not say the argument has been debunked, when he said debunked, I don't know how I can take you seriously on anything after that.
You haven't
because
watched
if words
a single
don't work.
Ali Dawa video. You haven't watched a single Ali Dawa.
I have watched the whole video.
The guy is dramatic. He is dramatic in nature.
Bro, you're coping hard
So when
right
he
now.
says debunked, he doesn't necessarily mean debunked. He's just basically
So
saying
Everyone, when he says debunked, he doesn't mean debunked. He means the opposite.
Abdi, can
you don't know Ali
calm
Dawa
down for a minute?
You
So can
haven't
I ask you a
watched single
question by
video
what you
of
think
this.
Ali
You haven't
Dawa
watched
actually
a single
means?
video of this.
Bro, you're an Ali Dawa super fan. You're doing jumping jabs and gymnastics. To the
Bro,
fact
shut
that
the
he
hell
said
up! You're a
some dumbass
clown.
stuff.
You're a bloody
Bro, how
clown.
many
Be
rockets
quiet.
are in
You're
a
a
Fatiha?
clown.
How many
You're a
rockets are in a
clown. Be
Fatiha, bro?
quiet.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You are a clown.
How many
You are
rockets in a
clown.
Fatiha? Go ahead.
You have no idea what you're talking
many?
about. You have no idea
How
what
many?
you're talking about.
My son, listen.
Don't
my son,
ask me any questions.
My
You
son,
are not a Muslim.
My son,
You
just
are
sit
not a
down.
Muslim.
I'm the
No,
teacher.
you
You're the
are
student.
not a
I'm the
Muslim. You are
teacher.
a clown.
No,
Be quiet.
You are
Sit
Ali Dawa
down.
fan. You're not a Muslim.
Sit
If Ali
down.
Dawa became Christian, you become Christian, dude. You just follow Ali Dawa into the pumpkin patch holding your hand,
No,
dude.
you don't know Ali Dawa, bro. Okay,
You're just
no
you are an
Muslim.
internet Muslim, bro. You never been into a
Dude,
mosque.
who
You're just like,
are
oh,
you?
Muhammad
Be
Hijab said
quiet.
it.
Sit
Oh,
down. You don't know what you're
Muhammad
talking
Hijab
about.
said it. That's your entire thing, bro.
You don't know what you're
Allah.
talking about. Just sit down, okay? You're a kid. Be
You're
quiet.
copying what I'm saying, but that's great.
No, you're
Copy
not.
my
I'm not
clips.
even
Let's
copying
go.
anything of what you're saying. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. He said debunk 5 million times, and you're like, oh, well, does
You
that
are
really
a
mean
troll.
debunk? Does that
You are
really
a
mean
troll.
debunk?
All right. I love it. I love it. I love
Yo, why are
it.
you guys fighting each other?
Dude, you're worse than
Because
him,
he's
dude.
a troll.
Be
I don't know
quiet.
why you
You're worse
even
than him.
invited this troll. He is a troll. We all know he's a troll.
Bro, he said debunk 5 million times, and you sat here in the call for 5 minutes like, is that really debunked?
You haven't watched a single Ali Dawa video. You haven't watched a single Ali Dawa video.
How many Ali Dawa
is
videos do I
known
need to
be
read
dramatic.
or watch? How many?
Ali Dawa
What is
is
the
known
quota?
to be.
What is my Ali Dawa quota, bro?
Ali Dawa is known to be dramatic. He doesn't mean what he says. Okay, you don't know what you're
Why
talking
are we
about.
watching the clip?
No, he does
Why are we
mean what he
watching the
said.
clip then if we
He
can't
said
believe it?
debunked, dude.
No,
He's saying
he's
he did
saying
not say
what he's
debunked.
saying. What he's saying is the Quran is the standard, not science. Science is not the standard. The Quran is the standard. So we have to.
Yeah, that's what he means,
If
actually,
science
but
does not,
he did
if
say that
science
it
does
was
not
there.
agree with the Quran, then F science. Okay, that's what he's saying.
But he's saying more than that. He's saying you can't even use these as arguments to defend Islam.
Yeah, because the Quran is the standard. That's why.
No. But it's farther than that. You're trying to frame it as like, oh, the Quran is the ultimate standard. I agree. But he's taking a step further. He's saying you
No,
can't
you
even
don't
use
agree.
that.
You're not even a Muslim. You're a troll. You don't agree anything. Be quiet.
Is that all you have? You're not willing to engage?
No, I'm not willing to.
You're not engaging in good faith.
You are a troll. You literally came in here insulting David Wood. You are a troll.
You just spent 5 minutes.
You are a
decrying
troll.
Ali
Be
Dawa,
quiet.
bro. All you have is Ali Dawa. What do you have?
No, be quiet. Seriously, be quiet. You're
No,
a troll.
you be quiet. No, you be
You
quiet.
are an
Can you recite
embarrassment
the
to
Quran? Can you
all
All
recite
right,
the
all right,
Quran?
all right, fellas. All right. That's round one is over. All right. So I had to let y'all get it off your chest a little bit. So let's get back to the nitty gritty now. So Abdi, tell us what again is your understanding from what Ali Dawa is saying?
He's just saying that the Quran is the standard, right? Science is not the standard. So we shouldn't be bending over to science and affirming the Quran through science. We should be affirming science through the Quran.
Okay. And so you believe that Ali Dawa believes that there are scientific factual statements found in the Quran, but that we just shouldn't judge or make or base the Islam off of these facts that we find in the Quran and these statements?
Absolutely, there are scientific facts in the Quran.
Okay.
But science has yet not discovered those facts.
Okay.
And so if we try to compare modern science with the Quran, we're going to find complications.
Got you. Science of the gaps argument. I like that. So do you have do you have an example that you like to lean to that is a scientific fact that we could find in the Quran?
Most scientific miracles in the Quran can't be proven with modern science because modern science is not there yet. Maybe in
So
some time in the
you know that
future
it's
we'll be able to. Absolutely.
How do you know that it's a scientific miracle if you can't prove it scientifically?
Because it's stated in the Quran. It talks about certain phenomena.
Can you give us a phenomenon that you think science will eventually discover?
In other words, we're thinking, we're trying to think of examples of something the Quran is saying that would seem to be at odds with science, but that could possibly at some point, centuries from now, be confirmed. Like, the sun sets in a muddy pool. Like maybe scientists will find that out or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That mountains are that stabilize the earth.
Okay. Mountains stabilize the earth. They keep the earth from shaking, and this is something we will find out later on.
Absolutely.
Any comments?
Well, I mean, that's interesting because Muslims sometimes claim that that's a current scientific miracle, that science has already supposedly discovered that. I'm glad that you're not trying to distort the science, unlike some Muslims. So I'll give you that. I will agree that is a phenomenon that could potentially be discovered. So you did meet your own criteria, but obviously you can't use it as evidence, right? Because you're just assuming that science will eventually come to it. So do you have anything that we can use as evidence today?
Well, I wanted to ask him before we get there. Yeah, just really quick, just on this one. Like we know that because the verse says that the mountains are placed on the earth to keep it from shaking, right? That's what the verse says.
Keep in mind this also occurred in the original 6 days of creation. So you had mountains on earth to stabilize it within the original 6 days of creation, and so the earth was there within 6 days, and so this is something that will have to eventually be confirmed by science.
Yeah, David, can I ask you a question?
Is it about this topic?
Well, kinda. It's about Genesis, like the creation.
It's not about this topic.
Yeah, we're not
No,
on
it's,
there.
it still has to do with it.
Our ideas about scripture and revelation and signs and so on are going to be different. And so if someone is saying, hey, look at this miraculous scientific knowledge in Genesis, totally right there would be, okay, let's see how this lines up with modern science and so on. But if someone is using a different argument, or we're evaluating a different argument, then that argument, I mean, guys, think about this. We're saying, hey, is Ali Dawa right or wrong? If he's right, then good. Everyone should acknowledge it. We can all move on. If he's wrong, then we want to give people an opportunity to show that he's wrong.
Yeah.
And so far we've seen a palindrome and we've seen mountains used in verses, which definitely you could say, hey, maybe in the future they'll find something that actually lines up. But what we know now does not line up. The Quran does not line up. And so what you'd say is it's a potential scientific miracle if some future scientific discovery confirms it. But as of right now, does not look like it lines up with the science of our time.